I think we all need to talk as a family for a little bit. I think our family, all three of us, I think it's kind of falling apart. I've just felt distant from you guys lately. We can't really have a family discussion without the head of the family. Toby, could you step in, please? I brought your dad as well. Sorry, our father.
What are you doing?
I brought our father in.
I'm not ready for this.
Hey, Toby, thank you for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
I think it's time for us to sit down as a family and finally talk about this. We've been distant and we've been separated this season.
Oceans have separated us,
Oceans have
right?
separated us.
Literally.
I mean,
and
Toby's not even
figuratively.
here. In person, he's on Zoom. That's the best he could do.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, but you know that's the price of being a god.
We miss you.
I know. Well, I miss you guys. Now listen, Zeus is coming, and he gets mad if I use the Wi-Fi. So
That's what you said last time. That's always your excuse.
no, listen. It's not an excuse. I really genuinely have to go, and don't worry, I'll send child support money. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
That's like we could have used that a lot earlier on.
207. We made it, one episode away. I'm so glad to have Sally Jackson, the incredible Virginia Kull, back on the show. It always feels weird doing an episode without her. And I'm very glad to have her on today. I want to take a second and talk about the moms. The show doesn't really work without any of the moms. No one knows Walker, Leah, or I on the show without our moms. Anybody that we talk to on set, if they're not there, it's always, oh, how's your mom? Where is she? Is she doing well? I hope she's coming soon. Tell them I say hi, I love them. And it's for good reason. It's because they sacrifice so much for us. I mean, my mom's sitting on the other side of this monitor watching me. And the fact that she's even here when she could have just sent me off to set is indicative of all of the work that the moms put into this show. I mean, the dads help a little bit too, but the moms have sacrificed so much for us. I've said this before, and I'll say it again, but I could work for the rest of my life to pay my mom back, and it wouldn't be enough. So thank you. I dedicate this episode to all the moms, to Heather Scobell, to Leah Jeffries, Tanaz Goodjohn, Nicole Bushnell, Fiona Smarts, and the one and only Preeti Simhatri. Thank you, Uma. I love you so much.
Tyson? What's wrong? Are you okay?
I'm fine. Great. Did you get my letter?
Yes, I did. Did something happen at camp?
No. Camp's great. Really great. Really. Now, I was just wondering, could you get us a ride
A ride?
to camp?
Tyson, give me the phone. Dude, give me the phone.
Aren't you at camp?
Tyson, give me the phone.
Hi, Sally. What Tyson meant to say is that...
Grover, what are you doing there? I thought you were somewhere on the other side of the world.
Oh, I was, but I came back.
You see, we were on a field trip, but a bunch of us lost track of time and missed the bus back.
So we were just wondering if
Grover,
you could...
I've been mother to a demigod for 13 years and to a cyclops for 1. Just tell me what's really going on.
I'd like to welcome our first guest today, Sally Jackson, Virginia. Thank you for being here.
Thank
you for flying all the way in.
I flew all the way
literally
in.
just for this.
Literally just for this.
Thank you. Let's talk about episode 207.
Yes.
This is Sally's return from episode 201. we always
Sally's
start
return.
with Sally.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I have been first up for each season. Season 1, season 2, season 3, I've been there on the first day.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, hey, here we go, yay. And then I'll see you in 5 months.
I'll see you after you've killed a bunch of monsters and fought gods.
You've had victory in your quest and
Yeah.
you've survived to fight another day.
Have fun, son.
I'll be here to receive you. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One of my favorite moments of our time with you is whenever you pull up in your blue Prius and Walker asks you whose car that is.
And I don't answer.
And you don't
Do
answer. Whose car is that, Sally Jackson?
I don't know, fans. Whose car do we think that is? A blue Prius. And I believe
With
you
a
might
teacher's
see...
bumper sticker
Yeah, you
on
might
the
see in
back.
the shot, there is a very, very sexy bumper sticker that says... I'd rather be teaching. I believe that's what it says.
100%.
Genius set design. Well done. There is an incredible teacher named David Frankie. Props to you. I just think teachers, like, let's pay them all the money and let's celebrate them to the end of time, because they are doing such essential, important, formative work. And he does an entire semester on Percy Jackson and the Olympians, the first book, with his 4th grade class. And so I sweet talked our friend Arian here into coming and talking to
It didn't
his
take much
classroom
sweet
of
talking.
kiddos.
It was a surreal experience.
It was really fun.
Well, that's the age I was when I read Percy Jackson.
It is interesting, though, to think about, like, when you read the book, there were no people yet, right?
yeah.
Had the movies come out at that point? Because when you go to
Yeah.
it with just your
Yeah.
imagination, you get to decide what Percy looks like, what Annabeth looks like, how they sound, how they speak. But then when we've got this TV show or these movies out in the world, and then people are absorbing that as well and consuming that as well, then I wonder what the experience is for our first-time book readers who are already familiar with our show. When they read Grover, do they hear it in your voice? Do they see Arian Samhadri? Like, do
it's
they
weird to
see
think
me do
about.
it? And it makes me feel an insane amount of responsibility. I
Yeah.
think it's very sobering to think that my face pops into people's heads when they read Sally Jackson, because the truth of the matter is Sally Jackson is kind of every mother on the planet.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I talked to Rick about this. I got to talk to Rick for like an hour, which was insane.
Yeah.
But I actually did get to talk to him about this very thing.
Working with the cast has been one of the highlights of my life. I mean, I say that in absolute sincerity. It's been so incredible to see the cast of the TV show become the characters and elevate the characters and sort of make them your own, to the point that, as I think I've shared with you before, I mean, now when I'm writing these new Percy books that were only written because of the show, I can't help but imagine you guys in the roles. And Grover is now you. And that makes it better. I mean, to me, when I'm writing Grover now, he is a lot more three-dimensional, and his character makes a lot more sense to me. And when I'm writing Percy, I hear Walker in my head. And that's not a bad thing, you know, because Walker is so Percy-like in real life. He's got that punchy sense of humor. And, you know, and Leah is Annabeth, and I could just go on and on. You know, you all have added so much to my understanding of Percy's world that's been a huge honor, just to kind of see it go from that little story and kind of to hand it over to like this whole team of creators and talent and say, here, you know, make this world yours. And boy, had you ever.
I did want to ask you about, I had the pleasure of meeting your kids. They're like the coolest kids in the world, by the way. And I know you think it's because I haven't spent enough time with them. And, you know,
They are the coolest kids in the world, and they're typical children.
they're
so,
a handful,
you know.
yeah. What do you bring for, I mean, I know Willie and Lloyd aren't exactly Percy and Tyson's age.
Right.
But how does having these two incredible kids inform your performance as a real mother, having these two less so incredible kids?
Everything in an actor's life cannot help but inform their performance as the character. I spent a lot of my career playing mothers before I was a mother myself. And I am a firm believer that a woman does not need to parent her own children to be able to convincingly play a mother on camera or on stage, or to just be the most nurturing, you know, provider possible, or teacher of children. So on one hand, I kind of push back about the idea that because I'm a mom, I can play a mom. On the other hand, I don't think there's a parent on the planet that has not said the words, I'm failing. So when I was given the words, I think it's season 1, for Sally to say, I'm failing, that just rolled right off my tongue.
This isn't fair.
No, it isn't.
And I am failing.
No, you're not.
I'm going to take him to camp.
Walker and I were just talking about this before you got here, but you're like all of our collective mothers. Like to our character, but also just to us in general. You're like my real mom, and I see you that way. Obviously, Mom, I know you're watching. I love you very much. But
I love you too. You're amazing. She's amazing, you guys. Arian's mom is amazing.
she's pretty cool. You just are a mother figure to all of us, and
It's my pleasure. When I was first presented with the opportunity to play Sally, I had this kind of long, lovely conversation over Zoom with Dan Schatz and Jon Steinberg and James Bobin, our director and our two showrunners. And I said, I don't want this to ruin these kids' lives. I feel very protective of you. I think that on one hand, we are so fortunate to work in this industry. It is a dream come true. It's amazing. And I see how it can be really hard, particularly for young people. And I said, I don't want to be a part of something that's going to chew these kids up. And Dan said, I'm so glad you said that, because everyone we're bringing on the team, we need all of us to understand that we're all, in a way, like signing up to help raise these kids. So in addition to learning my lines and hitting my mark, I do take that seriously. And it occasionally means that I'll probably annoy you with my...
I mean, it's yet to happen, but I look forward to the day where you do annoy us with
It also helps
with your finger
that
wagging.
I genuinely enjoy you guys.
Thank
Like,
you.
I actually like you. So
Thank you.
I actually enjoy you. I'm giddy when I get to see y'all. It's a pleasure to hang with you off screen and to also act with you on screen. So yeah, I'm glad to be your mom.
Something I did want to ask you.
Yeah.
I don't think Sally knows about the mythology of Poseidon being the father of all Cyclops. So why does she take Tyson in? I think it's obvious that she's a very empathetic woman, but she's also a woman who can see through the mist, which is very, very rare.
Sally is an incredibly wise woman. Strong as all get out.
Yeah.
And can see through the mist. I think she is very clear-eyed. And also very protective of her son. And it's got, quite the spidey sense about things. And so I believe they meet at a homeless shelter.
That's right.
That she was working at. I think I see this misunderstood, lonely monster, but I think I inherently know that he is not a danger.
Well, I think instinctually there's something about Tyson that's just
Good.
so reminiscent and so good, but so
So
reminiscent
good.
of Percy.
Right.
You could tell they're related from the get-go.
I loved that character so much when I read the books. I think it was the role I've been most anticipating. Who are they going to cast? It's such an important part. It's a hard part, but it's the one that really kind of just like tore my chest open and broke my heart in two in the best way. And I just think Daniel Diemer is such a find.
Such a good Tyson.
But I loved working with him. He was so enthusiastic.
How can you not?
Yeah, so kind, such a pro.
There's some stuff that I wanted to ask you more about Sally's character, and I think to talk about that, we need to bring on an expert. So I'd like to introduce our next guest, our co-creator, our showrunner, our executive producer, our writer, our best friend, Jon Steinberg. Thank you for being here, man.
Of course, we're best friends now.
Yeah, we're best friends now.
That's exciting.
You got a promotion.
Who got demoted?
Well, Walker's not here for a good reason. So
You know what? You should have showed.
you should have
All
showed.
right,
Well, I want to start with kind of a heavy question for the both of you, if you don't mind, because I think it's really funny. Jon, I know that you and Dan talked a lot about when you were first making the show. what the emotional kind of DNA or linchpin was going to be for the show, because in season 1, it needs a driving factor other than the bolt, because frankly, Percy doesn't necessarily really care about that. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, he's on this quest to get the bolt, but he needs to have ulterior motives. And all of that stems from Sally Jackson. And I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that she is the emotional DNA of this season. And even the show. And I think that maintains well into season 2. And I know that you were, you had a lot of discussions about how to get that exactly right.
Did you just ask the question and answer it at the same time? That was pretty
Oh,
cool.
thanks.
That was great. Yes. Yeah, no, I am. I mean, the easy answer is cast Virginia. I think that helped.
Yeah.
I think, I think anytime you have a reluctant hero who's going on a journey, I think in a book you might give him a minute. I think in a show you got to care fast, and I think you have to sort of understand when you're trying to adapt the story, how are you going to kind of achieve escape velocity quickly and get an audience to care right away. And while Percy wasn't going to understand or care about the bolt or really any of that world on page 1 or 5 or 10, you knew he was going to care about his mom. And so I think that center of gravity really sort of, I think, holds the show together at the beginning and pulls you in. And I think in sort of the most important real estate, which is, sort of the top and the end of the pilot, that moment between Sally and Percy at the end of the first episode, I think is hopefully one of the moments where we're making a play to have you fall in love with the show.
You're gonna need to be brave now. Remember what I taught you. Remember the stories I told you, especially the stories they will tell you.
No way, Mom, I'm not leaving you.
Perseus, listen to me.
You are not broken. You are singular. You're a miracle. And you are my son.
I think the tone of the book allows you to be unconcerned with the fact that you're reading about a 12-year-old boy who sees things that no one else sees. I think you're on an adventure and you understand you are, and so you're with it. And I think in a show where you're just meeting this, especially if you've never read the books, there was this thing kind of nagging in the back of my head of if I was a 12-year-old boy who did not know that my father was a god or know any of this stuff, and I saw things no one else saw, I would have serious concerns about my mental health. I would be really nervous. And for a while, I think that presented as a problem to me. It presented as something I wasn't sure how to handle, because that sense of reality and the adventure of the book were fighting each other. And then there was this moment where it just kind of cinched where maybe it's okay to embrace that. And once you embrace that, you get this moment almost right away. I remember sort of like having the realization that it wasn't something to be afraid of, and the realization that that's what his mom's there for, and that creates the opportunity for her to tell him, okay, there's all this other stuff going on, and I'll tell you a story about the gods and about whatever, but the most important thing I'm going to tell you is that there's nothing wrong with you.
To kind of pivot a little aggressively here, I wanted to talk about one of my favorite parallels in this season. We have a lot of them, but one of my favorites that just was made aware to me, I didn't even realize this until recently. In season 1, the entire driving plot is that Sally is missing. And in season 2, Sally and I trade places. And I want to hear both of your takes on what you think that does to Percy and the story in general, because those are both two very different characters in his life.
I think in a way Percy earns season 2, right? Like season 1 is, there's really only one person in the world that would have driven him to the underworld to save. He didn't really have the experience or the kind of friendship that would make that feel like something you would even consider doing. And then you get to the end of that season and you realize that is now online for him. He understands what it means to have peers. He understands what it means to have friends who also were lonely and who can be not just a challenge at school, but comfort. And then you got to take one of those kids away from him. You know, I think once you sort of learn that those things are possible, then you got to test it. And so in a way, it's it's the next level of class for him, to explore what these new relationships mean. And as quickly as he's earning them and figuring them out, he's having to confront how important they are to him, in the face of losing them.
It's interesting, for season 1, the only solid relationship he has in his life is with Sally. But watching back this episode, season 2, all of a sudden it's Grover, it's Annabeth, and there are more people in his life that he's willing to risk life and limb for. And I think it's amazing how additive it is, how expansive it is, watching his capacity to love and the people in his life, those people growing, is really beautiful. It's, when you're heartbroken to say goodbye to someone, it's, on one hand, I don't want to feel that pain, but also how lucky am I that I love someone that much that it hurts when you say goodbye. And I think that that's really interesting. Like, I don't want to go fight the dragons. I don't want to go fight the monsters, but I'm lucky enough to have these extraordinary people in my life that I love, so I'm going to do it. And it's every season, there's just going to be more and more. The scene he has with Clarice, where they're talking about her prophecy, it's beautiful.
You shall sail the iron ship with warriors of bone. You shall find what you seek and make it your own, but despair for your life entombed within stone, and to fail without friends, to fly home alone.
Yeah, it's not so bad.
The work that she is doing in the season, Dior Goodjohn, goodness gracious, girl, you are a beautiful actor. And watching Walker and her play that scene where they're finding repair and they're finding common ground and they're both being humble enough.
I do want to talk about that a little bit, actually. Speaking of our incredible Clarice Dior Goodjohn.
She's so good.
She's so cool.
She's so good.
I talked to Rick a little bit about it. We can throw to it. It's no secret that she's not exactly a friend of our heroes, and she wasn't really a fan favorite in the first book, as this kind of antagonistic counterpoint. What made you decide to put her in the spotlight for this quest?
She's just a fascinating character, and I think anytime that you have someone who presents themselves as a bully and kind of the villain and pushing people around. And I remember this being a teacher and seeing this. I always have to step back and think, okay, what is making this person act this way? There's usually some bigger bully behind them. And even if it's hard, I think it's important to have sympathy for why they're acting the way they're acting, or at least understanding it so you can kind of address it. And there's no bigger bully to have as your dad than Ares. So even though Clarice can be a bit much at times, I know why she is the way she is, and I kind of have to respect that she's trying to be something more. She really wants to be a hero. I just don't think she's had a lot of great role models on what that looks like.
It's one of those puzzles, right? If she doesn't just present as a bully, then if I'm a fan of the book, I feel like, well, what did you do with my bully? Like that's a part of the world I need. But if that's all she is, and if whatever she's doing to Percy is coming from sort of like base sadism, or just sort of, something that as an audience, I just don't really care to understand any deeper than what it is, then there's no there, and you're going to run out of runway. And so I think that was, part of the puzzle in the beginning was, what's she really angry about? when we meet her. And so the answer became, she is offended as a professional. You don't steal glory, right? And so now she's got some integrity, right? And so she can still be a bully, and she's still angry, and she still wants to put his head in the toilet.
Does watching Walker and Leah and Charlie and Daniel and Dior and me and all these people, does that change the way that you write these characters?
Yeah, I think if it doesn't, you're not doing it right. It is a partnership. It has to be. I mean, you're creating a person, and there are two of you. And so somehow the shaping of this new person you're creating is going to have parts of both. It's a process. You start sort of, you hear their voice, and your voice starts to become the voice that pops up into my head when Grover's talking, and it just gets a little bit easier. Sometimes that works backwards, though, which is interesting, that there are times when I'm writing it and I'm working real hard. Like I'm sort of trying to get through a scene in a way where I feel like there's some material for somebody to work on, or I feel like, all right, this is the material's working here. And then you have an actor show up and they do it, and suddenly it clicks, and it's not hard anymore because you've sort of seen it happen. And it happened with you. And Ariana, I think there were times, I think, with Grover where I felt like he was an idea, and I couldn't, and we saw, for all of these things, we saw a ton of people, and you do sort of get to a place where you're like, is this working on the page? I don't know. It's like, is it just a really tight bullseye, and it's going to take some work to find somebody, or, or did I do the math wrong? And then you open your mouth and it's like, oh, there it is. All right, we'll cross that off the list. Like that's who Grover is.
Well, something Andrew McElroy, our incredible acting coach, always talks about is respect for the material, because you guys are so insane. It's actually kind of freakish how well you understand, like, what we do, even if we don't realize what we do, you know what I mean? And everything that we need.
It works both ways, right? The respect, I think, works both ways. That, like, I can't ever put you guys in a position where I'm asking you to do something that doesn't feel true to me in some way, right? Or that I can't explain, or that, that's just sort of like, I don't know, do the best you can.
Jon, there was this moment when we were all at Comic-Con a few years ago, sitting at that table signing the posters, and we're all in a line. And, it's like you and me and Dan and Jay, and they were being polite, getting our autographs, but really wanted to get to our lead trio, of course, who were at the end of the line. But this one young man stopped in front of me, and he stood there looking at me for a little bit, and he didn't say anything. And I said, "Hi, I'm Virginia. Thanks for being here." And then he said that he was on the spectrum. And I said, "Oh." I was like, "Awesome. I have a lot of loved ones that are too." And then he said, "Thank you for telling me that I'm not broken." And it was so strange, because I was there as Virginia and the actor, and you were you were 3 seats down from me, and the actor in me wanted to say, "Oh, Jon Steinberg is our amazing writer, and he wrote those words, and I'm so lucky that I got to say that, and I'm so happy that it was so meaningful for you." But it was such a strange feeling I felt guilty taking credit, because they weren't my words, but it was my voice and my face that said them on that screen that meant something to that young man. And so I just said, "It's true. You're not broken." And he moved on and continued autographing. But it's actors are so important to the process, but we are a very, very, very small piece of what makes this work so beautifully. And it's strange to kind of be the face of it. Even more so for you and Leah and Walker, and to not want to take credit for, but just be grateful for being part of it. But Jon, thank you for your words. Thank you, Rick, for your words.
I can make the widgets, but you gotta sell.
Dude, thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you for taking the time
Yeah, of
out
course.
to call in. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in person very soon. Thank you so much, man. And Virginia, if you don't mind, I have a little surprise for you, so stick around for a little bit.
Okay.
We have a little surprise guest for everyone today. I didn't think there would be anyone better to talk about how important the role of the mother is than my own mom.
Thank you.
This is your first time on camera. What's it like?
Yes, I was always behind the camera, waiting.
You know, I couldn't have become an actor without you behind the camera reading all of my lines for me for, what, like 14 years now?
I know, if you put it that way, yeah.
Like, no one really knows Walker, Leah, and I without you guys, you know? Every time I talk to someone on set, it's like, oh, how's your mom doing? Or like, where is she? Is your mom here? Every time I come to set without you, they're like freaked out and they're like, and
I get mad.
And she's gonna be
I
coming
get mad
later, right?
if you guys are here. I'm like, where's Preeti? Where's
Yeah.
Heather?
That's what everyone
Where's
says.
my pal? I want someone to sit with and chat with in the tent.
Well, yeah, I think until 18, we were supposed to be on the set anyway.
Yeah.
So, but then I know you're 19 now, but you know, every kid needs a lot of support and guidance and care. So we're still here for you.
It is crazy, like the child labor laws of it. It's like when you're before you're 18, you have to have an adult here with you at all times, a handler or a parent or whatever. And then the second you turn 19, you're just like scot-free, allowed to go.
Yeah.
What is that for you? What's that like?
No, I don't believe in it.
No.
Yeah,
Like,
because
all of a sudden you can like do your own laundry and cook your own food and drive yourself around the city of Vancouver.
Okay, well, I can do all three of those things.
Can he?
he can do it separately, but not all together.
I can handle.
And also be able to show up ready to work.
I can handle one of those things a day.
Good work, Mom.
Yeah, but again, as I said, like all separately. But then they're also, the minute they're 18, they're working like 14 hours, 16 hours.
Right.
Again, coming back home, and an actor is thinking about their lines, their characters. I don't want them to be thinking like, oh, I have to go home and do laundry. I have to book an air ticket, or I have to schedule that interview. And it's a lot of scheduling, logistics, paperwork, planning. There's so much that goes on behind. And I don't think any kid, like even an adult, cannot do that, all of it together at the same time. And they all need help. And I'm sure there's people for every actor trying to do all that. So
I have a confession to make. I
Oh, God.
oftentimes avoid the quote unquote stage moms because they have a bit of
Yeah.
a bad rap.
A deservedly bad
historically.
rap.
But on this show, we don't
None.
have them.
Yeah.
We just have these incredible, impressive, delightful women that I get to be pals with while y'all are
thank
doing your
you.
thing. But it's really nice. I like when I'm like, no, the parents are good. They're like great.
no, I do concur. Like all the parents on this show, we are like really great friends, and we are
You and Miss Heather are like.
Miss Heather, he's so polite.
It's only with Walker's mom. I'm just kind of terrified of her in the same way I would never call my mother by her first name. So
Okay.
It's weird. I'm like close to his mom, but not close enough where it can be like, Heather, what's going on? You know?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That
yeah.
makes
So
sense.
like all parents, we're like great friends. We go out for dinners, shopping, on the weekends or after set hours, anytime you're free. We are texting, calling. It's great. Like I think truly we're a family after like 3 years on it, and we're also traveling to all the press events and everything. So,
But, like, I kind of lucked into being an actor is the way that I would describe it. What was your reaction to that? What made you be like, oh, okay, let's do this?
well, I think it was more you than me, because yes, you were a very energetic kid, and we we went out for auditions and commercials and everything. But I honestly thought one day you would just get up and say, oh my God, this is too much. I'm missing my friends' birthday parties and everything. I don't want to do it. And I'm like, that's fine, we'll see how far it goes. And I didn't want to say no by myself. I was waiting for you
For
to
me to
say
wear
no.
myself.
But then you kept going, and I'm like, okay. And I thought, okay, maybe you can do this until you're 18, and then you go to college, and then, nothing
We know
becomes
how that
up.
worked out.
Then that's fine. You can just go to college, and then I can, you can take it forward from there, or we'll see what happens. But I'm like, okay, I'm just going to keep going and see. And I know for sure it's only until you go away to college. But I think when you were in 11th grade, that we got this.
Thank you, for raising me as such.
I'm so happy and proud of you and all the other kids on the set too.
I hate it when you compliment me.
What is that about? All kids hate their parents complimenting them.
Well, I don't like to get compliments too.
Yeah.
No.
This is weird and unnatural.
I think it runs in the family, so we don't like it.
Anytime
you
she
guys
compliments
got
me,
it.
it's before I get really bad news. So
Yeah.
Well, I both think that you're just the best of people, so.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you.
and thank
you're
you guys so
You're a great
much.
mom yourself. We came to your house, saw the kids, came to the school. So good. Yep.
I have one more guest for you tonight, and it's a very special one. I felt like we've talked a lot about the writing and the acting and the directing and even the cinematography, but today I have Bear McCreary, our composer, on, which is insane. Thank you so much for joining us, dude. Thank you for being here.
Hey, thanks for inviting me. This is going to be a lot of fun.
For those who don't know, Bear, in all his genius, live records every single part of the orchestra that's in this show. Do you want to walk us through what that is like?
I don't think fans necessarily understand how many people come together to make the music that they're hearing. When you walked into the scoring stage for that first episode of Percy Jackson and you saw we had all the strings set up, and then
God.
later in the day we were going to have all the brass and woodwinds. We had so many musicians we couldn't even fit them in the studio all at the same time. Was that a surprise to you?
I did a musical once, and getting to hear the pit play together for the first time was incredible. But walking into a room that size with that many people, literally so many people that you had to do it all separately, was insane. Well, one of the things that was the most interesting to me that we talked about during this prep session was the fact that the orchestra is reserved for our heroes. And I think you can 100% tell because we see a lot more of the bad guys this season. I want you to talk a little bit about balancing music for different characters and different moods and themes,
Well, let's talk about themes.
Mm-hmm.
Themes are the basic building block that I use when I'm creating a score. A theme is a musical idea that the audience hears enough associated with a certain character or story element that they understand on a subconscious level that connection. So we have themes for our primary characters. There's a theme for Percy and Grover and Annabeth. There's themes for objects.
Mm-hmm.
We have a theme for the fleece. We have a theme for Kronos. We have all these different themes that I hope you don't notice on a conscious level. But deep down inside, your brain starts to hear certain things over and over and over again. And one of the things that I found in the early days of scoring Percy Jackson was that Percy needed a heroic theme.
Mm-hmm.
And I used a lot of brass, French horns and trumpets and big soaring strings to create a theme that tells us fundamentally that he's a hero. Grover's theme uses woodwinds. It's more comedic, but it has potential to grow, and it has mysterious elements and heroic elements. Annabeth's theme is more mysterious, more filled with longing and a more subdued sense of heroism that can develop over the course of the seasons. But you'll notice that like all our primary themes are orchestral.
Yeah.
They use a lot of acoustic instruments played by real people. So to create a theme for our villains, I sort of went the opposite direction. And I think that's what you're hearing in season 2. You're hearing a much more alien, dark, bizarre sound, particularly for Kronos, which I'm using synthesizers. I'm using keyboards and other non-acoustic elements, which create this contrast between our villains and our heroes.
I'm loyal. I've sacrificed everything for you.
Then prove it.
While we're on the topic of themes, I know something that you wanted to talk about is how themes evolve.
Well, let's look at episode 207, right? I mean, right where we are in the story, you can see how Percy has evolved. He's gone through a lot of sort of heavy, dark experiences in season 2. He's been questioning whether he even has the capability to be the hero that we want him to be. And like in his Luke fight in 207 is one of my favorite examples where it starts off very heroic, but as the action and intensity build, his theme is sort of broken into these smaller and smaller fragments until finally he barely escapes, right? And then he sort of loses. And even in those moments, you can hear his theme just like the character struggling to keep up, these broken fragments of his theme. So having that simple thematic structure, bum, 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 every time the audience hears that, their brain sort of connects it with all the other times they've heard it. And I think that's one of the useful things that a theme can do.
No!
This is, I think, more than anything, this is what frames our show, and that's what frames how the audience sees it, because a good scene is, a good scene is a good scene, but a good scene with good music becomes a great scene.
The scenes I've struggled with the most on the show often turn out the best. The ones that I go back and forth with our showrunners and do different drafts. And the reason is because the scene is so layered and so nuanced that there's actually multiple ways to approach it, which means there's no obvious right answer. For example, there was this season where Percy is trying to prevent the ship from going down into this swirling vortex. That was one we went back and forth. And it really took me a minute to fully understand, like, Percy loses. He actually fails. And his theme has to fail with him. And when I fully embrace that, you'll hear, if you go back and watch it, like there's a triumphant version of his theme when he's setting out to do it. And that tells the audience, like, oh, Percy's got this. And then when things go south, it's still his theme. But I just broke it, like hit it with a hammer and broke it into all these shards that keep failing to stack up into a complete version. It took us 4 or 5 versions to bounce that back and forth, but I'm so proud of it now. It's like one of my favorite scenes in the season.
Dude, I love talking about this stuff with you. Thank you so much for taking the time out.
Well, we're a good team, man. What can I say? Rock and roll.
We're a good team. Rock and roll. Watch and listen to the Percy Jackson and the Olympians official podcast, available on Disney Plus and wherever you get your podcasts. And don't miss Percy Jackson and the Olympians, now streaming on Disney Plus.